What's up, guys? It is Sam here, and today I wanted to talk about the Iowa primaries. So, what are we ranking? What are the Iowa caucuses like? What's the structure of how it's done? So you have a framework and like benchmark to take a look at what we're doing, right? And then you decide what's more relevant, right? And then how we created ours and why we did it the way we did, and then just get into the results. So if you want to watch all that, then stay tuned. And if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam. If you're a returning viewer, then you better be pressing that thumbs up button right fucking now. Well, let's get into it. So what are we ranking? Well, we're ranking the candidates that were in the last primary, televised primary in, I don't know where the fuck it was, but it was a couple weeks ago. And we're going to stack rank them and then compare that to how that's done versus how we are doing it. So this is actually, once I started looking into this, like how the caucuses are done in Iowa, it struck me as very interesting, to say the least, that this is how we actually elect our president, right? This is a process in the step, and this is a step in the process. And then I saw this interesting cartoon that reminded me that this message needs to be out more in the public. Like, this is 2019, and this is how we are doing things. So this is the Wikipedia, and we're just going to be looking at the Democratic Party process here. And I'm just going to read off like a paragraph and a half here. So we have each precinct divides its delegate seats among the candidates in proportion to caucus goers' votes. Participants indicate their support for a particular candidate by standing in a designated area of the caucus site, forming a preference group. An area may also be designated for undecided participants. Then, for roughly 30 minutes, what fucking arbitrary 30 minutes thrown in there just for fun, participants try to convince their neighbors, oh cool, this is like a potluck, this is how we do it in Iowa, to support their candidates. What the fuck is it? What? Each preference group might informally deputize a few, oh, now we get to create our own laws too, a few members to recruit. That was, oh my goodness. I don't think I'm going to read any more of this. You can see this, there's like arbitrary time limits in here. You're like going over to your neighbor's house and having potluck. Like, this is actually how it's done. Like, this is 2019, and this is how we do stuff. So now let's jump into a possible solution that could maybe be a little bit more thoughtful and closer to the source of the data, of where this information is coming from. And to do that, we're going to go through how we created ours. But first, we got to tell you why we are using Google and YouTube. So Google and YouTube are the foundation for our rankings here. And we want to talk about why we're going to use Google and YouTube by first going over, we just literally Googled average daily users of Google, and this is from SEO Tribunal, which is like a SEO site, a search engine optimization site. There's 3.8 million searches per minute on Google. 5.6 billion searches per day. Let's go over to YouTube. So YouTube, I'm going to read this out here. Almost 5 billion videos are watched on YouTube every day. There's so much attention on Google every day and on YouTube every day that they are also ranked number 1 and 2 in the entire planet out of websites. Includes China and everything. Like, Google and YouTube are number 1 and number 2. The amount of attention on these platforms is absolutely insane to even fathom the amount of, like, look at that again. 3.8 million searches per minute. That is astonishing. So that is why we chose to use these two platforms as a gauge for our ranking, right? That's going to be what's the most close to what people are actually interested in, right? Because they're searching for it on YouTube or on Google. So what Google does is they have this awesome site, Google Trends. And what Google Trends does is it aggregates all of the search volume on YouTube and on Google, because YouTube's owned by Google, right? Or the Alphabet. So those get aggregated up there. And what we can do is jump into we can go from the macro, like the world view, down to the United States, then down to the state level. And when we look at Iowa, we put in the candidates' names right here at the top. Hope you can see this. Yes. Okay, right here at the top. And then you search, and you stack rank them, right? So Bernie Sanders, number 1, Joe Biden, number 2, Kamala Harris, 3, Pete, number 4, Andrew Yang, number 5. And what we did this for the web search, but then we also did it for YouTube search, right? And we have 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. So we go through that for all 10 candidates. And then we also do that at the 90-day for both platforms, YouTube and Google. And then we do it one more time at the 30-day view. So for the most recent 30 days. And this is just searches on YouTube and Google in the state of Iowa in the last 30 days. So we stack ranked them all. And then we did the average. And this is what we came up with. So the top 5 candidates for the Iowa primaries, Joe Biden is leading right now, followed by Bernie Sanders is leading. Joe Biden is number 2. Kamala Harris is number 3. Andrew Yang is number 4, which is interesting because I think a lot of people sensed that this was going on, but didn't realize it because he is ranking a lot higher when we look at the data that I look at. By the way, if you want to see any of this type of analysis that I do in other forums, check out the channel. I do lots of this on a national level. So jump over there and you can take a look at that. And Elizabeth Warren is actually rounding out the top 5 here. Oops, I think I hid those pictures back there, but there we go. And Elizabeth Warren is number 5. So if we take a look here, when we look at Google here, we see that Bernie Sanders is number 1 on Google. And this is just the average, right? Remember? Well, not in here. So we did the average, and then we took the ranking from that. But the average is 25% from the 365-day view, 25% from the 90-day view, and then 50% from the 30-day view to get an overall. And we have Bernie at 1, Joe at number 2, and Elizabeth at number 3. When we come over to YouTube, it shifts a little bit. Bernie's still number 1, but Andrew Yang is number 2 on YouTube, followed by Kamala Harris. So that is kind of interesting what's happening. I'd love to know what your thoughts are down below on doing it this way versus how it's done now. And if you agree that we could think of a more thoughtful, considerate way of finding what's actually relevant in the state of Iowa than how it's done, share this video with somebody. Get the message out. There's the more awareness around this kind of thing, just like that second slide said, if we jump back over here, what they don't know won't hurt you, and that's essentially what it is. The less people know about this, like they don't know this kind of stuff out there because who the fuck looks this shit up, right? So share this video with somebody if you think they can learn from it or that might help in terms of putting it in front of the right person. Or if you know anybody who's in like the media or has a podcast or blog or anything, share this video with them. I'd love to do a collab or something. And before I wrap everything up here, I also wanted to jump over to the YouTube comments. If you want to get your comment read and answered at the end of the videos, leave a comment down below. We should come up with like a hashtag at the beginning. Maybe just hashtag Stolt, and that way I can draw it to my attention as I'm going through these the comments here. So just put hashtag Stolt at the beginning of your comment if you want me to go through and to read it. Okay, so let's get started here. This was about an hour ago. This is from Becoming Financially Fit here. And we have, it's going to be interesting to see how the GE scandal plays out. I'm a big on Uber and its collection of subsidiary businesses as well. So for those of you who are watching this, you probably may only see some of the videos around politics, but I do videos around finances as well. And I did an update on my portfolio recently where I added positions in GE right after the scandal came out, and I added a position in Uber. So I was talking about that, and this comment is in reference to that. I definitely agree. It'll be interesting to see how GE played out. I do think the market overreacted, and they already got a nice return on that. I'm also bullish on Uber's subsidiaries. I don't think Uber Rides is a super awesome business. It could be profitable right now, but I think self-driving is coming a lot faster than what the vast majority of the public actually thinks. Let's just scroll down a little bit more. Let's see what's here. This one says, great insight. Most national polls are manipulated by the establishment for their own gains. Just a note on this. I think most national polls, so a lot of people use this website, Real Clear Politics, and they look at the national ranking on there. What that does is that takes the polls from other institutions and it tries to aggregate them together to come up with like over time, like how people are doing, and it comes up with a ranking. And what it's trying to do, in a sense, is like every single question, it could be asked slightly differently from poll to poll to poll, right? It's not run by all one thing. And the framing, right? Framing is a something that you can, it's studied in psychology, and the way that a question is set up can actually influence the outcome of the question by just like asking in an angry tone versus asking in a nice tone, right? Like think about the results you're going to get. So where was that question again? Just read through it. Where was it? National polls. All right, so the establishment. So I think when the establishment puts together these polls and the site tries to add them together, it's not an apples to apples comparison at all. There's so many biases in the data that just by collecting more of like, you know, crappy data, it doesn't make it any better than crappy data. But if you look at it from like the macro view, like something where it's much more authentic, right? Like the YouTube search volume for each candidate or Google search volume for each one of these candidates. To me, that's just way more authentic of like what America is thinking about, what people in Iowa are thinking about, because they're searching for it, not like going through some opt-in for a poll to answer questions where there's going to be biases in just throughout the whole entire process because you have to opt in for some of this shit, like in the polling method, if you're calling it, I mean, just like there's so many different things here. And the timing of this stuff, where we can look at macro timing, right, in a 12-month view, a 3-month view, and a 1 month, so which there's just so much more data than what's going on out there. So if you like this video, make sure you press that thumbs up button. It does help out the YouTube algorithm. It puts this video in front of more people. If you want to jump over to Instagram, there's a link in the description. Come say what's good, and I will talk to you at the next video. Peace.